Since taking office in January, President Trump has, and I'm going through this exhaustive list in part because I'm assuming that not everybody is familiar with what has happened to Canada. The president has levied tariffs on a wide range of Canadian imports: cars, trucks, steel, aluminum, even oil. He talks openly about turning Canada into the 51st state, and he has suggested that the United States can, should it want to, annex Canada by economic force. Bill, what exactly do you think Trump wants from Canada?
More.
More what, though?
You know, I wish I could answer that question, but my sense is more. That's what he wants. My expectation is that much of this is obviously posturing, that we're going to be in a situation where we're going to look towards, a renegotiation that will include, more access to Canadians' dairy, that we will ensure that we stand up and play our part with NATO, which Canada is doing. So that is the frame that certainly I start with. I think that's the frame that the Canadian negotiators start with. But I think the Canadian response, clearly Canadians are very frustrated by this. There's a real sense that we need to look for who are the other reliable partners that we have in the world. The U.S. is our largest trading partner by a big margin. China's our second largest trading partner. It's not a surprise that Prime Minister Carney has started to look towards how can we have a more stable and expansive trading relationship with China and with other countries.
I'm very interested in the point about China, and I'll come back to it in a couple of minutes because I just want to pursue this dialogue that we're having about Canada's relationship with the United States. Prime Minister Carney has stated publicly that he doesn't consider the United States a reliable partner any longer. And he meant what he said. Now, I've given this some thought. If you think for a moment, any of you think for a moment about the long and productive history that these two countries have had, they've shared actually, right? Culturally, commercially, even militarily. To say that the United States is no longer a reliable partner is a profound thing. What will the new normal for Canada-U.S. relations be?
Well, we're working towards making sure that we do have a reliable interchange between Canada and the United States. I mean, that is obviously the goal. The current situation is very volatile. So I think what Prime Minister Carney is reacting to is this constant set of changes that are going on. And he's also, let's be realistic, he's also a politician. Canadians are frustrated. So that frustration needs to be voiced. But I think you're seeing two things at the same time, appropriately. You're seeing him voicing the very legitimate concerns that Canada has with the changing situation, and you're seeing him quietly behind the scenes work towards getting back to normalcy to the best extent possible.
So let's get back for a moment to negotiating strategy. Canadians obviously have no interest in becoming the 51st state. They've said so in poll after poll after poll. And of course, the Prime Minister has said the same thing. But it is arguably in Canada's best interests to restore as much tariff-free trade with the United States as possible, and also to remain inside the U.S. security envelope. So going back to what you were saying about Trump wanting more from Canada, what should Canada be prepared to give up in exchange for that?
I think from our perspective in Canada, what we see is that the advantages to both countries are significant from trade. Obviously, our automotive sector is completely interlinked.
It doesn't work without free trade.
It doesn't. Canada has enormous resources that are important not only for Canada, but for the United States, for the world. So I think it's getting to the situation where that is accepted and understood. I think the Trump administration is dealing with a set of issues that really don't relate to Canada. If you think about the immigration challenge and the hollowing out of the United States. So those are not really related to Canada, but Canada is getting caught in that dialogue in a way that is, I think, unfortunate. So the goal really is to get through this time, to get to a new normal, hopefully to the extent that there are tariffs that endure, that were not there before, which is, I think, deeply problematic, but maybe one of the outcomes. Canada would seek to be inside that tent.